Hi everyone. So I'm in that phase again where I remember every single dream, every single night for like weeks on end. This is what happens a lot of the time, where I can go weeks or even months on end without remembering or barely remembering any of my dreams. And then all of a sudden I can have a phase where a week or so, maybe even longer than that, I remember every single dream I have in almost all detail. Or at least I can remember it for a long time, even if it is vague. Which is really weird, but for the past few nights I've been dreaming about these sorts of dreams. And last night's dream was really strange. I can't remember what the other two nights were. I could remember what they were at the start, but after the next day I can't remember them. But I remember this dream I had last night. It's really disturbing. I mean, it's really what's it called? Really can't remember what word I'm looking for now. It's not nice. It's not nice. Like, it says the dream itself isn't actually that bad. It's kind of weird, but it's not that bad. But there's parts of it that are absolutely just. Do you know when your brain just goes like into some sort of aneurysm, and it just thinks the most disgusting, messed up stuff ever, and then you're just left wondering, what the actual hell? Because my brain right now is kind of all over the place with all these things that have. Literally, I forgot about my dream. Pretty much completely forgot about my dream, especially the disgusting part and disturbing part, until about 5 minutes ago. I was on the computer, and my brain was just like, oh yeah, let's just remember this thing. And it remembered me. I'm just sitting there, like, I dreamt of that. What the actual hell? Like, there's some things that you dream of, or in nightmares, that you would never even imagine you could dream up. I kind of show that how messed up you can be sometimes. People can be, like, deep down. People are messed up. You know, I'm not going to say what I dreamt about, like I said, because I don't really want to talk about it. Also, I can't remember too well, but I remember what happened. I just can't remember the exact visuals of it, which is good. It's just that I don't really want to be completely honest. So, the dream that I can remember was, there was this car, it was a Peugeot, and it had certain hubcaps on it. It was a rental car for, it was a rental company, and this was in the area that's near my mum's house. And my mum, when I went inside after seeing it, to sort of ask her if we could see about buying it for me, or renting it for me so I can drive around in it, she was like, oh yeah, you can. We rung up the number, and we rung up. We were standing right there, and when we rung up, there was this person, this lady on the other line. I can't remember what she said now, but it's kind of disturbing what she said. I can't remember what she said now, but even though I can't remember, I can still sort of feel the weirdness of it. But I'm standing there. My mum was standing there, and I was standing about here, where I am right now. And I was sort of having my arms sort of rested up on here, like that. My camera's also quite blurry. I think it's just been smudged on the lens, but yeah, anyway. So, we were like, oh yeah, let's just call her up. Just call them up, so we did. She said some really weird stuff, and we were like, what are you talking about? And I think it was something about that they're going to find us, or whatever, or they're just going to, something along those lines, I can't remember, but it was like a mafia type thing. You got rung up, and you're like, okay, we're going to do something to you, you better go away and just rethink everything, or whatever. That's the sort of vibes I get right now, from what she said, or whatever. But she was like, oh yeah, and then there was this weird thing here, sorry if you can't hear me over that, but there was these weird sort of like, sort of cabbage-sized things, if that's maybe a bit bigger than that. They're all different colours, like blues, reds. They're basically like little bouncy balls that you get. Now lined up, in like lines here, and then there was 2 or 3 here. I think there was 2 here or whatever, or somewhere on this counter. And then after you rung up, there was another ball that was added. It was an orange one, and it was added to the pile. And we looked at each other, saying like, "Oh yeah, they found us, and we're next for some reason." Oh god, I got a bad stabbing pain in my head again. I have a habit of clicking my neck, So it's probably because of the nerve damage. I wouldn't be surprised. Because I've got sudden shooting pain sometimes on the back of my head and behind my ear and stuff. So I'm guessing that's because of the nerve, because I've been clicking my neck for a while. Because whenever I get stressed, I get like pressure on my neck. I can't relieve that until I have to click it. Otherwise it will hurt for hours and hours and hours. I could probably get a migraine or some sort of bad headache. So that's what I do. And because of that, I've got bad nerve damage or whatever. Or some sort of nerve damage, probably. Anyway, back to the story. We were like, oh yeah, we've been found. Oh my god, we're next. So what happened was, something happened in between this, I can't remember what it was. But then, I think it was my mum's car, my mum's Astra I think it was just there, or some sort of car, I can't remember what it was. Let's just say it was my dad's Astra, because it's basically identical to my mum's old car, but just say it was my dad's Astra. It was a Vauxhall Astra, and we were getting our stuff in there, inside of the vehicle, and I was going to drive the vehicle because it's a dream, obviously, so nothing makes sense. But I was getting ready, and we were sort of looking. We're sort of driving away, and we're sort of looking around, and then something happened in between that. I can't remember what it was, but we were being chased by someone. It was sort of like a weird, sort of messed up version of my old housing estate. So basically it was a housing estate with all the houses and stuff in order and whatever, and the street numbers, but the streets were sort of interconnected, even though it was a cul-de-sac or whatever it's called, and it was really weird sort of way the layout was, but I think a lot of people know what I'm talking about because weird dreams, but this is the part that's really vague now. In fact, being as it was our housing estate, actually I think the thing that happened before, or at some point, I can't remember what order it went in now, but we were in some sort of field, like a big flat field, with like abandoned things around. Because what happens was, when I'm on the computer, this is like what it's like in real life, when I'm on the computer, I'm sort of looking around, sort of scrolling through on Google Maps to see abandoned vehicles and cars, because I have an Instagram account, and I was looking for that. I saw I said some sort of like marshlands, like some sort of like you see near the seasides and stuff and beaches where like there's old boats and stuff that are sort of sunk into the ground partly because the tide's gone out and it's just sand, and there's like slight sort of streams down there. That's what it was like. And there's also like old broken cars and crashed up vehicles, rusty vehicles, old vehicles like that. And I started walking towards them. And at some point, the dream transitioned where I was looking at this vehicle. It was a BeamNG Drive vehicle, I think. It was a Ibishi Marara or whatever it was called. Marara? I can't remember what the word is called, but it was all crashed up where the front of the vehicle, the left front side of the vehicle was crushed up to basically the B pillar. And the steering wheel was sort of crushed into the right side because it was a right-hand drive car, so it was basically the steering wheel was crushed outside the window. And the passenger seat, which was on the left side, was all completely crushed in. Don't know why that's even relevant, but it is. But then in the back of this vehicle, I think it was the back of the vehicle, or some sort of other vehicle, there was, I guess, some sort of doctor. But I don't know what it was. This is the disturbing part. I don't know what it was. So I'm wondering, like, oh yeah, what's going to happen? And it was where we were in the boot of the car, but we could stand up. It was really weird, but we were in the boot of the car, so we can stand up. And at the bottom of the vehicle, the floor pan, it was basically a big hole where you can, if you wanted to, you could just literally jump into the water, and then you were fine, or the shallow water, because it was sort of resting on this like sandbank area. So I was all confused, and then there was something happened, and there was this disturbing part. I'm going to try and explain it because it's actually really disturbing. So viewer discretion is advised on this one. If I can remember it, because it's quite vague now, but it's still disturbing. So there was something, I don't know if it was a person or not, I genuinely don't know, but I don't think it was. But it was something like that. Anyway, then there's this doctor, and they were like, you what was it? You won't feel any pain, and this person, whatever it was just sort of having their head sort of laid back like that they were on their back, and they were sort of just sort of dangling over the gap in the bottom of the floor pan where the water was, and then they were sort of on their back, and then I think that something happened between there, but then at some point the body was mutilated, and I've got to get a visual now of what it was like now. So now that I've said it, I can remember what it was like, but I was really just... I'm gonna leave it there. Yeah. That was a bit of a roller coaster, that bit was. Oh, by the way, when I'm telling these stories, these dreams come back to me. So I remember that was part of the dream where I was I'm gonna sit down for this. Cause I feel a bit sick now, I'm not gonna lie. So there was two parts of the dream that I can remember now. There was one part of the dream which was where I was going to tell you this before, but it was where I'm sort of running away through my old housing estate. I'm sort of jumping into different people's backyards and stuff because there's someone following me somewhere. There's people following me, and I go into this sort of house, even though it's like outside. The house is like outside, like it's the outside of the housing estate. But once I step onto that sort of border, it becomes sort of like an outside house, like with no roof or anything. But it's like so hard to explain. But there was these weird sort of tar stuff, like the rubber plastic sort of stuff you see in like parks, where it's sort of got patterns on the floor. Different colour sort of patterns cut out. Hi, welcome to the live stream. And there was this one that was like I think it was a circle shape. I can't remember what colour it was now, but it sort of lifted up. I ended up going inside and going yeah. I've just remembered another part of the dream as well. There's so many parts of the dream that are coming back to me now. It's hard to explain, but I guess I have to write this down because, like I said, maybe that's why I was bleeding, because I'm self-consciously picking my spot. Anyway, so yeah, and we're sort of going down there, and there was this like ladder area. It was down underneath this like weird thing, under the floor. So I went down there, and there was this weird like maze thing that we ended up just sort of trying to sort of chase each other. It was really weird. I can't really explain it, but then at some point I ended up jumping over outside again, running onto the main street into someone else's house. I think at that point then, I think the dream ended or something else happened. But there's two parts of the dream, two more parts of the dream that I can remember, which is where I was in my old primary school, and I was when I say I was running fast, I mean that I was running really, like 20 miles an hour, and I was sort of doing like this weird race. I don't know what it was about, but I'm doing this weird race, and this weird thing happened. We were just racing whatever for like ages, and I was like, oh yeah, I can be in the world record or whatever for jumping the highest, running the fastest, whatever. And I was just there like, oh, that's cool. That was one part of the dream I can remember. There was another part of the dream that I can remember, which is where we were at some city. I'm not going to name it, but we were at a city in the US, and we were sort of just got out of the city, and we thought that we were sort of driving, and I had this water bottle in my hand, and for some reason there was writing on the whole on the water bottle that was saying like where it was, like sort of like a Google Maps thing. So I was looking at it, it was like, oh yeah, we're in Nashville, Tennessee or whatever. I think it was in Nashville, Tennessee, or some sort of random other city. And we were there, and we were like, oh yeah, that's cool. We hadn't actually long left the city that we'd just left because of the mafia or whatever was chasing us. So that was kind of weird. I think my spot's bleeding again. No, it's not. Looks like it is though. And yeah, I'm not going to name the city, but that's what the dream was. If I can remember it correctly, I'm actually going to have to write this down now because I'm going to forget otherwise. So I hope you enjoyed, and maybe I should just write this down in a bit like a better context, sort of try and write it down so I can have ideas for a film or some sort of horror film. I can have ideas or some sort of something like that, because when I'm older, if I ever get the chance to, I'm gonna try and do these things like as a sort of like a hobby, like a second hobby. There is one thing that I'm really considering as a hobby, not which I'm collecting or anything, not filmmaking, but something else which I might talk about in another live stream, because I think it's quite interesting to talk about, and I've been wanting to say it for a few weeks now. So I hope you enjoyed, like I said, and yeah, my guys.